Hi, Peaceful Warriors. Nice to see you. So straight from yoga today. I've got the yoga hair going and the yoga clothes on. We had such a great class this morning, so I want to say thank you to all my students who were there to share that with me. And today we are going to be talking about resilience. Hey, I hope that some of you were able to see. Hi, Stephanie. She's such my partner in everything. I just love her. Stephanie, as I've said before, is the travel agent for all of your travel needs, but she is now particularly specializing in couples travel. And so you can find her blog at Globetrotting Couples or travelessence.com. So I hope that some of you got to see my mini blog that went up yesterday. I just wanted to do a little precursor because I've really been working personally on resilience this week. We've had some challenges in the family. My husband was really, really sick, and it caused just a lot of hard, I don't know, it wasn't like really all that emotionally hard, but just trying to keep everything going with the kids and taking care of him and the business and everything. I realized that I was feeling a little worn down, and that's where resiliency comes in. I also like the idea of talking about resiliency today because it flows from the topic that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is mean people suck, right? Because we need to be pretty resilient to stand up to people who are bullying and to not let them affect us. So we'll talk a little bit about that today too. But what is this resilience thing? And I'd like to start today's chat with talking about a story. You know, I always have my stories. Something that happened in graduate school. I was working for this professor who was, well, to put it mildly, a hard ass. He was really a tough cookie. And he wasn't very nice in the way he delivered his messages. And one time he, I guess he was getting me flustered. I don't remember what exactly happened, but he could tell I was getting upset. And I was, I don't know, 21, 22 at the time. And he says to me, you know, that's a very gruff voice, you know, you need to have a thicker skin. And I thought to myself, as I'm trying not to cry, right, what the hell does that mean? I don't even know what that means. So I needed to find out. And okay, so the 20 years since then, all right, maybe 26 years since then, I have figured out what that means to be resilient. So what is resilience? It just means having, to me, what it means is having inner strength, having a belief in yourself enough to where people don't get to you, that when life gets tough, you can get through it. And that is really the overarching premise of my whole business, peaceful living. And I talk about my peaceful living warriors, that we are peaceful, but we're strong. And so that's what yoga does for me. And we'll talk in a minute about yoga and mindful movement and how it helps with resilience. But first, I just want to explore this idea of inner strength and where you get it. I'm looking down because I want to make sure that I am looking at my notes here, because I want to make sure I cover all of the points that I think are important. So we have 5 points today. And the first one is back to this issue of mean people suck. If you didn't get to see that video, that was 2 weeks ago, and it's under that title, Mean People Suck. And I realized also, well, Alexa, thank you, my wonderful virtual assistant, reminded me that I did not upload the blog that goes along with it. So I will be doing that today. So mean people suck. What does that have to do with resilience? It has to do with the idea that when people get mean, especially in this day and age over our beautiful Facebook, we love Facebook, but people use the screens to be mean. And if we are strong inside of ourselves and we are able to say to them, oh, hey, Alexa, I was just talking about you. We are able to say to them that what you think of me is none of my business. If we are able to say to ourselves, what they think of me, it's not true. It's not real, because I know who I am and I know that I'm a good person. Then that gives you inner strength. So that's a form of resilience. So being able to not let other people's little, I call them poison darts, other people's poison darts get to you. And if you think about it, if you have a thick skin and a poison dart hits you, it's not going to puncture your skin. So that's what Professor Hofstadter, there I'm going to call him out, was getting at when he told me to have a thicker skin. Make it so that life's things don't get to you so easily. Okay, but easier said than done, right? Well, what are some things we can do to build that inner strength? First, we can use little sayings like, you know what that person thinks of me is none of my business. And here's another one. This too shall pass. Again, a little lesson from grad school, this time from a professor who was my dissertation chair, just the most warm heart, love this guy, a wonderful, wonderful person and scholar. And he said to me when I was getting very upset that I did not pass one of the questions on one of my PhD comprehensive exams. I passed the exam. I passed 2 out of the 3 questions, one with a high pass. But no, I was focused on the negative. I was focused on the question I did not pass, and it was his question. And so, of course, I was very upset about the whole thing. And he just kind of sat back and crossed his arms, and he said, "Now, Jen, this too shall pass." And I thought about that afterwards, and he's right. And I think about that all the time when I'm faced with life stresses. I think about this too shall pass, because I have enough life experience now to know that there are just as many, if not more, good times, just as many, if not more, wonderful times in life as there are difficult times. And really, a lot of what we make of the difficult times has to do with exactly what I just said, what we make of them. So do we let them really, really get to us? Now, I don't want to say that when things are hard, you should not face them. So a lot of times what people do is they stuff things down inside of themselves, or they distract themselves so they're not paying attention to the hard times. And that also is not one of the better things to do, because then it just festers inside of you. So this is when I go to the teachings of Zen Buddhism, and I use the idea that if you face the adversity and you give it its due diligence, and you sit with it, and you understand it, then you can let it go. And I have practiced this. I've practiced this for probably going about 15 years. And at first I thought, this is terrible. I do not want to sit with my sadness. I do not want to sit with my grief. I do not want to sit with my anger if I'm angry with somebody. When I first learned this, I was going through a time when my husband and I were actually in divorce court, and we were fighting out a very nasty custody battle. Well, funny thing is that we ended up not getting divorced, and we worked through it. But I did take the time to be in the present moment with my negative feelings. But then I let it go. And that's where this too shall pass comes along. If you can let it go. Now here I'm going to go over into another spiritual arena. And that is, well, it could be Judeo-Christian, it could be Hindu, it could be Buddhist, it could be just really any faith. And that is, resilience also can be strengthened through a spiritual practice. So it could be taking from the Christian Psalms, be still and know that I am God. and you can give that anger, that resentment, that sadness, whatever that negative situation is that you're in, you can give it over to, if it's God, God, if it's a goddess, God, the goddess, if it's the universe, whatever your spiritual path is, you can give that over. And that too helps to be in that mind frame of this too shall pass. Next point is, sorry, I know I'm looking down. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Practice positivity. You know, I'm always talking about turn that frown upside down. I know, I'm corny, but really, I really work with my clients on practicing positivity, because when people come to me for stress management coaching, it's because they're feeling bad, that they are feeling the effects of chronic and most of the time acute stress. And they have come into a place where they feel negativity all the time. And it can be from all sorts of different things. It can be from living with partners or parents who have been very negative and critical and demeaning. It can be from their inner selves being negative and critical and demeaning to them. It can be from society making them feel bad about their bodies, about where they are successful or in their minds not successful in life. I mean, just all sorts of things. We are surrounded by negativity often. And I grew up in a household like that. And I grew up as a person who did that to herself. And hearkening back to last week's vlog on fat shaming, I was susceptible to feeling bad about myself because of what society told me about my body and that it wasn't good enough. And you can check out my blog on that. It is going up today as well, about how fat shaming can really put us in a negative place. So what I really want to stress with positivity is that we can, if we allow ourselves to, be positive. And sometimes, and believe me, I have been there, you have to fake it until you make it. So there have been times when I have written on big pieces of construction paper and magic marker positive affirmations about myself, and I have taped them all over my house. There was one point when I had cut the construction paper in half, and I taped these pieces of construction paper with positive affirmations all around my bathroom mirror. They went completely around the whole mirror because I just needed to be constantly reminded to stop beating myself up. So being positive, even if you're faking it until you make it, you actually do make it. And I can promise you from my own practice, as well as from the practices of my clients over the years, that practicing positivity has made a big difference in their lives. So try that on for size. Another thing that goes along with that is be around positive people. I know that some of us live with, and some of us are married to, people who are very negative. Some of us were brought up by people who were very negative. But we can, number one, get ourselves into a place of such inner strength and resiliency that when we have to live with people who are negative, they don't affect us. But we can also surround ourselves with friends who are positive people. We can go out and find those people who make us feel good about ourselves. And I will in the future, maybe next week, we'll see, I'll let you know, write a blog about how to make new friends, because I know that's very challenging. I've talked to a lot of people here in my neighborhood about that, because so many of us are new to the area. We've come from other states, and that's one of the main stressors that people talk about, is making new friends and getting out of their houses and finding people to be around. And there are great ways to do that, even for introverts, I promise. I know I'm not an introvert, but I have dear friends who are, and I have some great tips for how to make new friends for introverts too. So be positive with yourself, surround yourself with positive people, and make your environment positive. So even if it's just a little corner of your house that is your peaceful place, this is one of my top 5 peaceful living tips, which you can get all 5 if you subscribe to my email And that is at peacefullivingwellness.com. So create a place where you can go and be surrounded by things that you love. And that is another way to practice positivity. I'm sitting here in my home office, and my home office is my creativity space. I love it here. I have all sorts of fun stuff. There's pink. Look at I have a little cover on my chair. It's actually my daughter's poncho. It's pink. I love the color pink. It makes me feel good. And it just makes me feel so good to be in this space. And so that is my positive place. Okay, so practicing positivity. All right, number 4, self-nurture. Now, one of the things that is just ubiquitous across every single stress management course, book, magazine, online source that I have come across is how important it is to self-nurture. And yet, I think it is one of the most challenging things people face, is having time for themselves. Because I tell you what, I have lots of conversations with clients over the years where they have dropped off and not continued coming to their stress coaching. And I call them up. In fact, I had this conversation just the other day with somebody, and she says, I just don't have time. I'm just so busy. Well, I know, but if you make the time to take care of yourself, you'll find that you don't feel quite so busy. You'll find that you're so alert and so active during the busy times that things get done more quickly. We find this a lot in studies of employee wellness. When employees are allowed to take breaks, when they're allowed to have chances to self-nurture, and I mean things like companies providing massage therapists and video gaming rooms. Okay, I know that's Google and Pixar and places like that. But even if your company does not provide that, taking a little time out for yourself, you're allowed to have a break, and self-nurturing, getting some meditation in. Maybe it's just putting some nice, yummy lotion on your hands. Maybe it's taking a minute to go outside of your office and take in a nice deep breath. Maybe it's watching a funny video online. Whatever it is, you need to take that break and self-nurture. And you need to do it on a regular basis, and preferably half an hour a day on top of your breaks at work. Take half an hour a day to read a book that you love, read inspirational quotes, take a walk, listen to music. Whatever it is that makes you feel really good, do that for yourself, because that, again, brings down your stress levels and brings up your resiliency. Okay, and finally, I know this is a long one, but number 5, this one's easy. Just breathe. My yoga students hear me say it all the time. Take a deep breath in, all the way into the belly, and exhale. Feel the relaxation effects. Just that simple breath also builds your inner strength. That simple breath builds your resiliency. Thank you for joining me today. Please check out the blog that will go up probably next Monday on resiliency. Check out the mini blog that I put up yesterday. Oh, wait, that Alexa put up yesterday. And if you want more of this, please just reach out to me, Facebook, email Jennifer at Peaceful Living Wellness, contact me through my website, peacefullivingwellness.com, and I would love to talk to you about coaching. And keep reading the blogs, keep sharing the blogs. I love shares. I'm grateful for shares. Thanks, everyone. Namaste, y'all.